He's one of Japan's most beloved figures, and in this age of anime, he's as heroic as ever. Now the cartoon Astro Boy is the subject of a show that WGBH News arts editor Jared Bowen is raving about. And Jared Bowen is here. Welcome, really.
Yeah, I love this show.
I actually have heard of Astro Boy, but remind us who he is again, the cartoon.
Well, Astro Boy, first of all, he's adorable, which I think is part of his appeal. He's a character that was created by Osamu Tezuka, a Japanese illustrator and graphic artist, about 5 years after World War II in Japan. And he was sort of a figure who got Japan, he was helping to get Japan out of the malaise that it was in, of course, after everything that had happened. And he's this utopian figure who brings about peace, and he's wide-eyed and bright, and he just wants to save the world and save humanity. And so he really was one of the first major iconic characters in anime, and he endures still because in the 1960s he had a television show, which I'm sure you probably saw, and now he's in more modern comics as well, and so now he's on stage.
Okay, so how does it work to have this cartoon character be kind of the driving force of a live stage play?
Well, Natsu Onoda Power is the playwright here, and she's the playwright and director. This is her entire concept, and she is somebody who was really fascinated by this illustrator and by Astro Boy growing up, and she was a second generation in. And I had a chance to speak with her recently on our weekly art show, Open Studio, about why she has such affection for Astro Boy.
I was drawn to Astro Boy because of its darkness, actually. Astro Boy's story is really sad. He's created as the replacement of the mad scientist's son, but then he's eventually abused by the mad scientist's father because he can't grow like a human boy, and he's sold to a circus. And so it's really sad. His beginning is really a sad story. And having that, I mean, it's a really heavy topic for children's cartoons, right?
Well, this is not really a children's play.
Well, you can bring children, which I kind of like, because she did use this as a springboard. And what it does is the show moves chronologically backward in about 12 different installments. And so you start with Astro Boy in the year 2014 going off to save the world. And then you move backward in time so that it eventually melds with his history of creation, which can be very poignant because he's created by this scientist whose son was killed in a car accident, and it's rendered beautifully on stage. And then you meld into the actual creator of Astro Boy and how he came to develop this comic, again coming out of World War II, and how he sort of marginalized himself from society just so that he could do this. So it tells you all these biographical elements in a really engaging way, but also very poignant because it is kind of a dark story, especially when it's telling the saga of World War II.
So, I mean, the subject matter is unconventional enough. What about the staging?
Well, this is what I love about this show, Emily. So they worked with the actors for about a year to find actors who could both perform and who could draw. So in every single performance, they're doing live drawing on stage like you see here. So it's a combination of the drawing as illustrated here, but also these projections like the Sitco sign. And they're having to do all of this to time. So they're creating perhaps the boundary or the barrier around the Sitco sign when suddenly a video display comes in and fills that space on the screen. It's somewhat difficult to talk about, but everything comes together seamlessly. So you get this story, but you also get this sense of creation and how this all came together, and you get this incredible sense of the performing arts. It's really something that I have never seen done before, and so engagingly and so well.
So this is Company One. Where is this? Where is this?
Company One just celebrated their 15th year. They mainly perform at the Boston Center for the Arts, and what they're doing right now is just really, really incredible. I think where I often compare them to what I think the ART is doing. The ART is very well resourced, the American Repertory Theater. They have big budgets. Company One is a smaller company. They don't have that, but yet they're as inventive. They're pushing theater in different ways. Earlier this spring, you may have remembered I talked about The Flick with you, which is a piece that they staged just a couple months before it won the Pulitzer Prize for drama. I mean, they really have a sense of where to take theater in this moment, so to stretch it, to make it new, to reach different audiences. I mean, they consciously did this show knowing that they're reaching a whole audience, the anime audience who we see walking around Comic-Con in Boston in their costumes, but people who don't necessarily go to theater. And this is a company that's reaching them because they're giving them what they want, but in an excellent way.
Do they have the equivalency of a Diane Paulus? I mean, who's there?
Their artistic director is Sean LeCount. They also have Summer Williams, who directs a lot of their shows. Both have been awarded a number of awards within our local theater community. They are also getting national grants at this point. I mean, they really are somebody that I think the world over, or the nation over, is paying attention to at this point.
All right. Looks good. Actually, this one does interest me.
I think you would love it.
All right, what do you got tomorrow?
Tomorrow we're going to be going over to the DeCordova Museum, the Sculpture Park and Museum, where they have a pair of shows. Lisa Dill, whose work you're seeing right here, and Ian Thomas Finley. And both artists, although they have nothing to do with one another, have works that spring out of words.
Words.
Which is really fascinating.
It looked like leaves, but now I see it's words.
Now
All right.
you can see the words.
All right, good. All right, Jared, thank you for that.